Good morning, Nigeria. It's always a pleasure to have you join us out of your very busy schedule. I am Henry Ikwebike, and this is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. We kickstart with our newspapers, and right after that will be our main conversation also for today. Do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can find us, reach us when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. Very so honored to have joining me via Zoom is a barrister, His Greatness Agadaiko. He is a barrister, a law public affairs analyst. He would help us see through all that we have from our newspapers and possibly get us through our main conversation for today. Good morning, barrister, and thank you so very much for your time.
Good morning, Mr. Igwebike. My pleasure being here. I'm so glad you are having me again and again and again.
Thank you very much. Thank you so very much, barrister, for your time. And I wanted to ask where you are reaching us from. What part of the country are you at right now?
I'm actually in the Delta State High Court headquarters in Asaba in Delta State. I'm having about 4 matters to do. I'm done with 2. I still have 2, but I have 1 hour to spare before going back to the court to continue from where I stopped.
Thank you so very much for giving us that time. We truly do appreciate it. And I'd love us to maybe start with the Vanguard newspaper for today. We have a litany of interesting stories. KB Niger schools abduction. U.S. to share intel demands action. On the top strip, we have CBN to slam 5 years ban on bank customers over dot check. We have other matters also. That insecurity is time for state police. Southwest governors cry out. And we have other interesting matters. Withdrawal of escorts. Fear grips VIPs as police plan modalities. And other interesting stories that we have. But let's start with the withdrawal of escorts from VIPs. And Nigeria has a total of about 400,000 police personnel for over 200 million people, and sadly, out of that number, 100,000 are meant for VIPs in Nigeria. And the withdrawal, do you think is a welcome development, knowing that those VIPs are equally, they equally need this protection more than all the other Nigerians? Do you think so?
Okay, but yeah, it's nice.
Hello, my pleasure. You know, the truth about the whole thing is that previous IGs have tried to do the same, but it has not worked out. This is not the first time we are hearing this pronouncement, withdrawal of police officers from VIPs. And I very much dispute that figure of 100,000 policemen. I think we actually have less than 400,000 policemen. We have about roughly 380,000 policemen thereabouts. That's what they have consistently put out in the public sphere. Good. And that 100,000 police, is it the ones, are those the police that are drafted to senators, governors, House of Assembly members, and chief judges of Nigeria, of the various states in Nigeria, and judges as well? This is minus, in my own opinion, police officers drafted to hotels, to banks, to private homes. You know, and it doesn't even come cheap. It's not free. I think that what they have, the figure they have even various people who have requested for police protection have said that they pay about over 500,000 for each policeman that guards either their business, their hotel, or follow them about. That is what they make available to the Nigerian police force. But sadly, these officers, from that amount, barely get even 200,000 in addition to their salary from that amount. So because of the money paid to the police force for making available these policemen to guard banks, to guard hotels, to guard at times hospitals, to guard various businesses and escorts. It is almost impossible for these withdrawals to take place. I dare say, and you can put me on record, because this is not the first time we're having this pronouncement. The question is, what has changed? What has not changed? What has really changed that will make this time around for the case to be different? What has changed? So the point is that because of the amount paid to the Nigerian police force for sending their officers on what I will call special protection mission, special protection operation, it is almost impossible to just simply blot out that program and cease making police officers available to VIPs. It is almost impossible. Just imagine a government houses, for example, they have a full accommodation, almost like a barrack for policemen. I doubt whether any government house has allocation for policemen less than 300. Less than 300 who are drafted to guard, to follow the governor, to guard his official residence, to guard his private residence, to guard the first lady, to guard the first lady's office, to guard the commissioners, to guard the other place of interest of the governor. So you can simply not just stop it. You know, in Nigeria, we always embark on what I refer as a wild goose chase. What should be done? You don't just, it should not be a knee-jerk approach. Number one, the challenge is, instead of the 10,000 constables, the program recruiting 10,000 constables a year, which there was conflicts of interest between the office of the IGP and that of the Police Service Commission on who has the authority to recruit 10,000 constables a year. Why don't you go ahead and do radical recruitment into the Nigerian police force, so that after giving VIPs certain quota allocation in terms of allocation of police officers, we'll still have a retinue of a high quorum that we can move around in Nigeria. That's number one. Then number two, before you even think about withdrawing police officers from VIPs, if the government does not want to be seriously embarrassed, you must have seriously handled the security issue in Nigeria, or you see that VIPs will now become what we call soft targets in terms of armed robbery, in terms of kidnapping, and in terms of other violent crimes. So you don't solve a problem by creating other problems. After you have addressed, and you need to also introduce the use of technology into our law enforcement functions in Nigeria. In America, once a crime is reported, or once you call 911, it takes about 3 minutes for a policeman, a police squad to arrive at the scene of the alleged crime. In Nigeria, it takes over 5 hours. Usually, they only come when the perpetrators of the offense have long absconded. That's when they arrive, and we have seen it play out every now and then. Every now and then. You saw the other day that in the streets of New York, we saw a whole French president walking on the streets freely. When President Trump's convoy, they were going to the building of to a session for the United Nations, now even blocked him from crossing the road. He was working freely. Have we gotten to that stage where that's the heads of a sovereign state, where even a House of Assembly member can walk freely on the streets? Have we gotten there? So until you now solve this, when you have solved the very hydra-headed security situation, before you can now start by reducing the number of police officers or law enforcement officers that are attached to VIPs, before you now move further to completely eradicate it, whereby a VIP can feel safe being in the train without any escort. For now, it's not feasible. Even on the plane, VIPs still have escort in the plane. We saw only some days ago, we heard bandits now threatening that having been buoyed that they have had successful kidnapping rampage in Nigeria, that they will now even go ahead to kidnap governors and even kidnap the president. That's what I'm sure you heard that report. You carried your station a few days ago. So in that kind of scenario, how dare you contemplate withdrawing VIP situation? Are you intending to increase, to even give the kidnappers more leverage to operate and even have more patronage? Or you are trying to deter the kidnappers and perpetrators of violent crime from committing more embarrassing, nationally embarrassing crime? So these are the steps that must be taken to address the security situation before we now reach the stage where naturally VIP protection will automatically on its own fizzle away. I will suspect that if the VIPs have a choice, they will prefer to even work without any VIP security, based on, number one, the high cost of maintaining VIP security. It doesn't come cheap. That is minus feeding, minus other personal allowances. Of course, you know your security will ask you for one assistance or the other from time to time. They will ask you for assistance, and you are obligated to assist them because there's security is the highest for now in Nigeria. It's one of the most prioritized investments any individual should make. So that is the way to go about it. But just on your mark, get set, go, a pronouncement of a withdrawal of VIP security will not work. Because the grand preparation, what ought to have been done before we get to that level is yet undone. It's yet undone.
All right, Barrister, let's take a look at other matters. And just before I get to other matters, I sincerely feel for our celebrities, because those will be used as a springboard to test, the withdrawals of police escorts. I know it would not, get to constitutionally recognized individuals like House of Rep members, elected leaders, and unequally appointed ones. But you see the celebrities, those are the ones they would use as a scapegoat to see how that would work. And we just let to see how that would work equally. But let's take a look at other matters. UK rejects a federal government's request for Ekweremadu to complete prison term in Nigeria. Barrister, you are into this as your catchment area. I do not know how many Nigerians are serving their time in different correctional centers in Nigeria, especially those with minor issues like stealing goats and chickens just because they are hungry, but sometimes they are sentenced for 10, 20 plus years. But here we have a president who has the prerogative of ensuring that Nigerians serving minor time would be asked to leave such correctional centers. He is more rather interested in a politician like him who had committed more grievous crime in other parts of the world and asking that he should be brought back. Do you see all of this as politically motivated by the master, self-acclaimed master strategist in the person of our president, who would like to play politics than good governance at this point?
Exactly, that is my exact sentiments, as regards that issue. That's my exact sentiment, because the reasons are quite glaring, and the reasons they speak for themselves. Because in Nigeria today, in fact, one of the problems we really have in our criminal administrative sectors in Nigeria is the high rate of citizens of Nigeria who are regarded as innocent until convicted by a court of competent jurisdiction, who are languishing in jails and other detention centers, at least 18 detention centers throughout Nigeria without trial. Some stay as much as 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and even 10 years, and their cases are yet to commence up till now. And that's why this government, we thought that he has actually failed Nigerians in many ways. But in this respective ways, number one, reforms of the police. That's one of the priority we have in Nigeria. That's a crisis or a disaster that is going to happen in Nigeria. The lack of political will or lack of appetite, test to reform the police. The police, as of now, needs immediate, urgent, thorough, comprehensive reform if we want to make any headway in good governance. Because good governance starts with law and order, fair, equitable applications of rules, regulations, and law and constitutional provision. And clearly that is completely absent in prosecuting law and order by law enforcement agents in the Nigeria of now. So the police needs immediate reform. People who ought not to be arrested are arrested. The Supreme Court have said severally that in defining what right to personal liberty means, the Supreme Court says that before you can even arrest a citizen, number one, there must have been not only accusation, but there must have been investigation. And the outcome of that investigation ought to have indicted that citizen before you can arrest him. But you see in Nigeria today, people writing frivolous petitions that from face value, you know that it is worthless. And yet for such reasons, people are arrested, detained beyond 48 hours, remanded in prison for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years without the case being brought to a court of competent jurisdiction. So we must reform the police as of necessity, as a matter of emergency. And that's what, instead of the president declaring state of emergency in Rivers State, what the president ought to do is to properly redirect his priorities to declare state of emergency in the police through urgent and immediate reforms. One, declare state of emergency in the prison reforms. Declare urgent state of emergency in the Nigerian judiciary as it now stands. Where it is unable to secure the vast aspiration, desire, and confidence of majority of Nigerians who are lords of the court and lords of the judiciary. So that's what good government. You must declare state of emergency in the judiciary. Then you must also declare state of emergency on our electoral process and procedures. thank God that he has appointed a new INEC chairman who appears to be giving some measure of hope and confidence to Nigeria. But over and beyond that, the processes and procedures of balloting, of recruitment of leaders needs urgent declaration of state of emergency, not for personal aggrandizement, but for the good of our federation, for the good of our citizenry, for the good of the continuous existence of Nigeria. These are the priorities. These are the things that cannot wait to be attended to now, not the Ekemadu's case that has already been settled in UK by a court of competent jurisdiction. And of course, he has his right of appeal. And if he has appealed to the highest court and they have affirmed their judgment, there's nothing more they can do. To the best of my knowledge, as a legal practitioner in Nigeria, I do not know of any existing treaty between the UK and the Federal Republic of Nigeria that gives the Federal Republic of Nigeria the leverage to swap convicted felons between in prisons, between Nigerian Correction Center and the prison service of the United Kingdom. It is possible there are treaties to that effect, but from my modest knowledge, I do not know of any such treaty. And I humbly and fully believe that no such treaty exists, because we have not seen it being applied in practice all this while. And the UK is not like Nigeria, where anything goes. Before such procedure can be effected, they too, they must have a treaty, they must have a regulation that accommodates transferring people convicted in the United Kingdom to serve partially or fully their terms of sentencing. Their terms of sentencing in the Nigerian Correctional Center. In the absence of any such regulation, it is completely impracticable for the UK to subscribe to such a request from our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But like we have agreed, that should not be the priority. The priority is, I've said, is to urgent reform of the complete value chain, of our criminal justice administration. It needs not only urgent reform, we need to declare immediate state of emergency on our criminal justice administration. We have delayed it for so long, and it can no longer wait.
All right.
It can no longer wait. That should be the priority. If we must be able to set Nigeria on the right path, which is on the path of good governance going forward as we head to the year 2027. As we head to the year 2027 and beyond.
All right, well said. We need reform, not just in the police force, in the judiciary also, because of it's very so important that we do all of that. Only God knows what would happen if the United Kingdom had agreed to what Nigeria had requested for. You know what we do in Nigeria? If Ekweremadu had the opportunity of coming back here, all he needs to do is to stand on his mandate, stand on the mandate, and he will be let loose. And the next thing you see, he is campaigning for the party that had asked him to stand on the mandate, and many other miracles would happen as a result of that. But of course, just like Barrister did say, the UK is not Nigeria. They respect the rule of law, like us, that we do not respect our own constitutions and the rule of law and areas of engagement. Well, that's all we have for this particular segment. Just to let you know, the barrister will still be here to take us on our main conversation. That is when we return. Onanuga accuses Niger CAN, that's the Christian Association of Nigeria chairman, of hiding facts in school kidnap case. That in the beat is still Enterprise Morning. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. This is still Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's head straight to our conversation for today. Presidential aide Bayo Onanuga has accused the Niger State Chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Reverend Dr. Bulus Yohanna, of withholding vital information on the recent abduction of students from St. Mary's private Catholic schools in Papiri, Agwara local government area. Onanuga claimed Yohanna was playing games with the incident and frustrating efforts to determine how many students were actually kidnapped. He dismissed earlier reports by the Christian Association of Nigeria chairman that 51 students had been rescued, saying those students were never abducted but fled during the attack and later returned home. According to him, the uncertainty persists because school and religious authorities have failed to fully cooperate with the government. He explained that the government and security agencies still lack a clear record of missing students, as the Niger State governor has repeatedly requested a list that has not been provided for. Onanuga alleged that Reverend Yohanna even instructed the school principal not to speak with security operatives, further complicating rescue efforts. He maintained that this lack of collaboration has left authorities in the dark and hindered attempts to respond effectively to the abduction. As it have with me, Barrister His Greatness Agadaigo. Thank you so very much, Barrister, for hanging on.
Always a pleasure.
Let's get talking on this issue. The Niger State abduction of school children. About over 200 of them were abducted. Miraculously, we learned that 50 escaped. And now there's a conflict of interest here. The presidency has made possible from Bayo Onanuga, who is saying one thing, and those who were victimized equally saying another thing. Barrister, speak to me on this conflict of interest that is brewing. Nigerians do not understand where we are right now. The authority under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu are not in control. Is Nigeria under siege as we speak, Barrister?
Nigeria has been under siege for a long time. I'm sure if they can, when they address the press conference, and even those in Benue, in the Middle Belt, Benue, Plateau, they have consistently said that it's not even all the incidents of insecurity in terms of attacks and kidnapping that are reported on media. In fact, largely, so many are not reported. So many remain reported. So many are largely unreported. They are largely unreported for political reasons, for plenty of political reasons. And if you remember, before now, the administration was saying that insecurity has greatly improved in Nigeria, and especially in the northern part of the country. But we are seeing these incidents now that do not confirm that former narrative. It doesn't. At least we are seeing clearly that insecurity has not improved, but has deteriorated. And even the government has even blamed President Trump that his rhetoric is what has caused this recent wave of kidnapping. So the government is blaming everybody for these lapses apart from itself. Can this sentiment for Bayo Onanuga to go on air and begin to ventilate such sentiments? It is not security wise. If for nothing, for this, even in the case of disagreement, if you come out to the public, you ought to show confidence, you ought to show unity of purpose. That is what a refined presidential spokesman should do. You should show unity, you should show purposefulness, you should show tact, you should show collaboration, because united we stand, and divided we fall. The presidential spokesman always accused the opposition of fueling narratives of pessimism, which have consistently worsened our country standing on many various areas of our national diversity. So the presidential spokesman ought to practice what it preaches. Ought to practice what it preaches. By even in this scenario, this deep, challenging scenario, show purposefulness. And that's where the finance comes in presidential communication. Show purpose, show resilience, show determination. Don't ventilate frustration. Don't ventilate network. Don't ventilate frustration. Don't show the enemy you are revealing your weakness. You are revealing the enemy is saying that, oh, is this how they are? That should not be the case. Show cooperation, show collaboration, show that united we stand, and we are standing in unity despite disagreements, which of course are born out of these kinds of depressing scenario. But don't show it. Show that we are working together. Show that we are working together to address and confront and overcome this security scourge. This is what presidential spokesmen are worldwide and known for. They are not there to showcase challenges. They are there to proffer solutions. To say, in the midst of despair, in the midst of hopelessness, in the midst of frustration, in the midst of disappointment, in the midst of pain, in the midst of anguish and agony, there is a way out, and we are fashioning the way out. We are going to perform our primary responsibility of safeguarding and protecting lives and property, the challenges notwithstanding. This is how presidential spokesmen of all nations perform their duties, and Nigeria should not be an exception. Nigeria should not be an exception. You are not on media to prove to the world that the president is not to blame or the government is not to blame. No, you are there to show to the world that despite the challenges which the government accepted responsibility, we are doing all we can to bring this very painful and distasteful scenario to a quick resolution. That's how they are. So, Mr. Onanuga, sorry to say, despite his experience in the world of media and journalism, has not acquitted himself dutifully in this regard. But so I will just challenge the government that when you are dealing with doing communication, when you are doing presidential reportage, presidential communication on security issues. Security issues are very sensitive and delicate issues. You must be able to dish out the right signal, the challenges notwithstanding. You must give out the right signal. You must strike the right chord. You must use the right tone. You cannot be your harsh tone and confrontational tone should be against the enemy of Nigeria, not against citizens who are in anguish and sorrow. So you should know how to moderate your tone to Nigerians who are the victims in all these circumstances. And then use your harsh tone, your confrontational tone against the enemies of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I believe that he has not done well.
Now, looking at, you know, the way Bayo Onanuga has played media and combining it with politics, especially his, what Nigerians would call his nepotistic nature. And lots of other people might call it bigotry and all, which of course we've seen is on the open domain where he has called a particular ethnic group some sort of names and all. Do you think Bayo is even worthy enough, you know, to be occupying that particular position, looking at what you have just enumerated and his ways of going about media and communication?
Unfortunately, my opinion does not really count because number one, you know, every servant is expected to serve his master diligently by strictly adhering to the terms of reference that have been given to him by the master. And
so
if you
mean
watch
the terms of reference, sorry for interjecting, you mean the terms of reference which Bayo often exudes is given, possibly given to him by the presidency?
Well, what I wanted to say is that, before I land here so that I don't forget, is that if you watch, one of my appointments with the judiciary is that I always feel that they have failed to identify who their masters, their lords are. Their lord is the Nigerian people, not the executive. The executive are co-equals with the judiciary. So the judiciary of Nigeria cannot be serving the interests of president, governor, minister, or the executive because they are co-equals. But instead, they should serve the interests of Nigerians who are their lord, their master, and their employer. So coming back to Bayo Onanuga, because if you fail to serve the interests of your lord, your oga, your master, what is expected is that you will be dismissed from service. You'll be dismissed from service because you have not done well. So, number one, I would not really know the terms of reference, that has been given to Mr. Bayo Onanuga by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I would not know. But from if I was to do some, I hazard a guess and do some psychological predilection and deduction from the way and manner he usually responds to issues when they arise, then I am inclined to believe that his terms of reference is to defend the president at all costs, to defend Bola Ahmed Tinubu at all times, to defend Bola Ahmed Tinubu in all circumstances and situations, not minding whose ox is God, but just to defend, to show consistently that for whatever events that occur in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not to be blamed. That is from the way he carries out his task. That is the impression I get, that is what his terms of reference is. And if he has continued to do that, it means that he's doing what his boss has mandated him to do. And if he's serving his boss in the way and manner his boss has employed him to serve him, instead of him to be dismissed, he will be commended and promoted. And so that is why I cannot say he has not acquitted, even though I said that generally, in terms of best practices compared to spokesmen for the UK government, the American.
Are you there, barrister? Hello, barrister, are you there? All right, I think we're having a bit of a communication issue there. Barrister was, all right, so he was speaking to the issue of the terms of arrangement or service of Bayo Onanuga with respect to his communication style. He stated that as what we see in other nations around the world, the UK, America, and other countries, where the media aide to the president is always there doing an awesome job of PR. But in Nigeria, it's more of a propaganda, rebuilding communication style. And that what we have, unfortunately, in Nigeria, and which is why it's often very difficult for Nigerians to understand what the presidency is speaking, especially with regards to the reality on the ground. Well, we do not know how we can actually get all of this all sorted out, and knowing that he who pays the piper, dictates the tune in this particular part. Well, we just have to call it a go for now. Hopefully next time we would get the barrister to speak to us due to communication issues that we have right about now. And that's just about the time we have for our show. We'd love to say thank you. Please do well to follow us. You can find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching. God bless you. God bless Nigeria. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.